You're watching 7 Action News, always taking action for you.
I don't think he was afraid of anything, but I told her he's just a big, gentle giant, you know. I mean, he's just super strong, big guy, just as gentle as a lamb.
A father's heartbreak. The dad of a police officer killed in the line of duty talks to 7 Action News as police use every tactic to try and track down the man who pulled the trigger.
We have live Team 7 coverage of this breaking story that is changing by the minute.
Let's start with 7 Action News reporter Tara Edwards live at the suspect's home. And Tara, do we know where the suspect is? Is he still in the home?
Well, right now that's not clear, but police think he is still inside the home, and they've tried several methods to get him out, including knocking down part of the second floor, but so far, no one is in custody. This all stems from a nasty breakup between Ricky Coley and his wife. According to the terms of their divorce, Coley was supposed to be out of his home in the 4,000 block of Forest Edge by today. His mother and brother in from North Carolina tried to take him down south. Instead, sources say he holed himself up in his room and fired a shot. His brother called 911. Gunfire could be heard around 8:30 a.m., then 2 other times this morning. Police say the suspect had a large stock of ammunition in his home. We're told Coley used to be in the military. Family members got out of the home before officers got to the scene last night, but police did hear a gunshot. 5 officers responded, including 39-year-old Patrick O'Rourke, a father of 4, thinking it was a suicide situation they were walking into. They called the suspect's name. No one answered. The officers were ambushed as they moved upstairs. Police say they never saw the suspect because he was shooting from behind his bedroom door. Officer O'Rourke was shot and killed. Some officers also suffered minor injuries.
I'm looking to help someone voice screaming, like dying.
The standoff is being handled by the Oakland County SWAT team. Since this all started, hundreds of rounds have been fired between the suspect and police. The Michigan State Police, FBI, and Homeland Security are assisting. Police have several methods of getting Coley out of his house, including robots, gas, and ramming an assault truck through the garage. And this is a live look from down the scene here along Pontiac Trail in West Bloomfield. This is the first time a West Bloomfield officer has been killed in the line of duty. We are still waiting to hear from police at this hour, a statement from police. But again, no one is in custody at this hour. Live in West Bloomfield, Tara Edwards, 7 Action News. Diana, Joanne.
All righty. Thank you, Tara.
Our breaking story of this tragedy continues right now with a look at the man who lost his life doing his job.
The parents of Patrick O'Rourke want everyone to know what a special person he was. They live in Fenton, and through their grief, they shared their thoughts on the tragedy with our Kimberly Craig.
I'm still waiting for him to come walking around the corner. I can't. Yeah, when Amy went to the hospital to see him for the last time, just waiting for her to say
like
he's
a roller
okay.
coaster, the emotions. You know, we get to where we can talk, like we're doing it right now. I'm already able to talk. And then, you know, your thoughts go back to something, and right away you go right back down in the bottom again, you know. And it's just a roller coaster.
You just want to see him again, you know.
The O'Rourke still can't believe their youngest son, 39-year-old Pat O'Rourke, is gone. A West Bloomfield police officer killed last night in the line of duty.
I always felt very confident in him. I try to play in my mind what happened today, and I can almost see what happened, that he was just totally, you know, blindsided.
14 years ago, Pat married Amy, his high school sweetheart, and they were blessed with 3 beautiful daughters, Eileen, Mary, and Andrea, and the newest addition, 8-month-old Stephen, the boy Pat always wanted.
Finally, he had his little boy. We have a picture at home, holding him up, looking at him. It'd break your heart, you know, if you didn't even know him.
And we're sad that Stephen won't know his dad.
Pat was the police officer and his wife Amy was the nurse, both dedicated to their jobs, but especially their family, sacrificing much of their time together on opposite shifts, so while one was at work, the other could be with the children. Now loved ones can only surround them with love through the unimaginable loss of the man who made an impression on everyone.
Big 275-pound guy, strong as 3 men. So, you know, I don't think he was afraid of anything, but I told her he's just a big, gentle giant, you know. I mean, he's just super strong, big guy, just as gentle as a lamb. That's no other way to describe it.
In Fenton, Kimberly Craig, 7 Action News.
Just devastating. 7 Action News has learned new details now about the suspect.
Michael Rosenfield has been digging for background on him all day long and found out some interesting details that may have led up to today's events. Michael, what can you tell us?
Well, Diana, these court documents that we've obtained today show that the suspect was supposed to be in court this morning. He'd also been ordered to leave his house by today. These court documents obtained by Action News reveal a marriage in shambles. Ricky Coley and his wife officially divorced as of just 6 days ago, and the judge ordered Ricky out of the house by today. The couple was also supposed to have a court hearing this morning regarding their only child, a 7-year-old boy. Neighbors say they never would have suspected any problems.
They were very nice. We had no problems whatsoever. In fact, they would take their son trick-or-treating at Halloween, and they often came to our home, and we invited them in.
According to court records, Mrs. Coley filed for divorce over the summer, accusing her husband of infidelity, emotional abuse, and of physically attacking her in June, causing serious injuries. The judge in the case granted the divorce on September 4th and awarded Mrs. Coley the family's house and sole custody of their son. The judge also ordering Ricky Coley to pay $190 a week in child support. Court documents say he had not been working and at one point ran a now defunct trucking company. According to his social media sites, Ricky specialized in venture capital and private equity, and he was looking for growing or distressed businesses to buy. He previously worked at General Motors and Ford and served in the Army in the 1980s, perhaps giving him the experience he needed to hold out for so long against police and the SWAT team.
You would never have thought he would do something like this. We feel very, very badly, and our prayers go out for the police officer.
There were also financial issues plaguing Mr. Coley, including a federal lawsuit, and I'll get into that part of the story coming up at 6. We're live in West Bloomfield Township. Michael Rosenfield, 7 Action News.
All right, Michael, thank you very much for the update. 7 Action News and WXYZ.com are staying on top of the latest developments for you. We will continue to have updates for you live from the scene as the events unfold. And coming up tonight at 5:30, police still, of course, have their jobs to do in the face of their overwhelming grief. Former Police Chief Ike McKinnon will be here to talk about how officers cope with crisis. Again, that's coming up on Action News at 5:30.
You're watching 7 Action News, always taking action for you.
You're looking at live pictures right now from West Bloomfield, where police are still trying to apprehend a suspect in the shooting death of a West Bloomfield police officer. This is the home of Ricky Coley, the man wanted in this case. This has been going on for some time now. Last night, this all began to unfold. You can see that a big, almost wrecking ball of sorts, big piece of machinery came and knocked down that upper floor on the second story. But Action News is being told at this point they still do not have Mr. Coley in custody and are still apparently looking for him. So we are keeping you up to date on the very latest regarding this changing story by the minute now.
And we are live at the scene with 7 Action News reporter Tara Edwards. Tara, what can you tell us?
Well, Diana, right now, police have not said whether they have that person in custody. We know that hundreds of rounds have been exchanged between the gunman and police. We know hundreds of rounds have been exchanged. And right now, we are down the road from where this happened on Pontiac Trail, which is closed, and it's to a subdivision right to the right of the Pontiac Trail. We know the gunman, Ricky Coley, has a military background and lots of ammunition. Police have used construction vehicles to knock down part of the second story, trying to find Coley. They have also tried robots and gas. It's believed when officers responded to what they thought was a suicide call, they were ambushed last night. Officer Patrick O'Rourke was killed in the line of duty. Now, this standoff with police has been ongoing since last night. We know Coley and his wife were divorcing, and he was supposed to move out of the house today. His brother called police as he started firing shots. His brother and his mother got out okay. Now, this situation continues to develop minute by minute, and as soon as we get more information, we'll certainly bring that to you. Live in West Bloomfield, Tara Edwards, 7 Action News. Diana, Joanne.
All right. Thank you, Tara.
And joining us now in studio is former Detroit Police Chief Ike McKinnon. Thank you for being with us to talk about this. My condolences to you and everybody in the law enforcement community. I've got a brother-in-law who's a police officer, and he said to me today, it just affects everybody.
Absolutely. I can tell you that during my tenure as chief, I lost 4 officers. And this is the worst time for not only the law enforcement officers, but their families and everyone in the community who sees and hears this. It's the worst possible time.
And the person who has to go and tell the family and bring them that news is just beyond devastating, I know.
I remember telling 4 families It was the worst time for me in my career as a police chief.
When we look at the situation going on there now, I mean, this has been going on since 10 o'clock last night.
Yes.
The one officer killed through the doorway. My understanding from talking to an FBI agent earlier today is that domestic violence type situations are some of the most dangerous for you guys.
It's classified as the worst for police officers responding, and usually you hope that it's going to be okay,
right.
But that's not the case. Usually there's some kind of trouble, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he had a lot of weaponry, it seems, at home and whatnot. What do you make when you look at the scene right now and the decision with this wall that we see knocked
Sure.
down? Can you help us understand what the thought process was to do that?
We know that he's killed one person.
Yes.
We know that if they go in, there's a possibility that he'll kill more. They're taking the right steps. They're going slow. Eventually he's going to have to sleep. Mm-hmm. So go, if you have to take the house apart, do that. But you don't want anybody else killed.
I heard today, and it's interesting, those of us not in the law enforcement community, right? Someone said to me today, what are they waiting for? Why don't they just go in there and get him? Protect themselves, but go in and get him.
No.
That's not the mindset. If you know he's by himself, then it's almost a waiting game, isn't it?
Absolutely, because you don't know if he has armor-piercing bullets. You just don't know what he has in there. I mean, I was listening to the story of how they got bin Laden. We don't know if this man has some other kind of armament in there and what he'll do. Again, we know that he's killed one person.
Right.
We don't need any more hurt.
We heard talk about robots today being used. Tell me what you know about that and how useful they can be.
They're good for identifying if in fact there's a person inside, but maybe he's got doors locked and closed and they can't the robot can't move within certain areas. It's kind of like the flash grenades. Some people they work on. I mean, when we use them in Detroit, we've had people literally run out of the house. Other people, they don't bother at all. Tear gas. Some people, I remember when we went through the training, we couldn't stand it, but people who have a certain form of mentality, it doesn't bother them.
Chief, talk to us about this idea that this is a 4,000 square foot home. That has to make this more difficult.
Absolutely.
There's a whole lot of places to hide in a home that big.
Absolutely. You know, when we've done searches in homes, it has been most difficult of big homes. You know, when you know the person's, let's say, on the first floor, they're in the living room, the kitchen, or something like that. Yes. That's easy. Mm-hmm. When you have this huge home, you have to do all this searching. And let's say you tried to send some officers in to do a room-by-room search. Again, we've lost officers. Other departments have lost officers in those kind of searches. They're taking it slow. If it takes 2 days, if it takes 3 days, they're not losing anybody. He's going to have to go to sleep at some point.
Well, I would think you can't stay awake for 2 days even, right? So you'd think that you could get a resolution to this sooner than later. What is the goal as law enforcement? What is the goal of this? Is it to take him, I mean, is it to take him alive? Is it to just end this? Or what's the ultimate goal?
The goal is to resolve it as peaceful as possible. And unfortunately, if it means taking his life, then you might have to do that. But we know that this is going to be a difficult situation.
This morning when he went in, I understand he was not alone, Officer O'Rourke. They didn't even see him. Yeah. That Ricky, the suspect, apparently was in a bedroom and allegedly fired shots through the wall and hit him. I was curious in thinking about how this unfolded, what kind of protocol is for the other officers who were with him, that it didn't end kind of then. Likely they left the house to assess what was going on?
Well, you try and get your partner out as soon as possible.
Okay.
And I can recall a few of my officers in a similar type situation where they pulled that officer out right away, and I'm sure this happened here. Yeah. They pull him out as soon as possible because you don't know if he's dead or he's still alive, but you want to get him out as soon as possible.
And that's your first priority.
Absolutely.
It has to be. So,
Absolutely.
And not the suspect. You know, we are looking at these live pictures, and just so you know, we've seen the kind of the damage on the one side of the house as they went in. It looks like the SWAT team truck at the bottom of the screen there is going up. When you see a picture like that, does it look to you? Can you glean anything from that, I guess?
Well, because there's a possibility he might be watching this, you know, we don't want to really talk about that. I mean, we don't want to give him that possibility of knowing what's going to happen. Okay. So if he's watching this, he would know that this is what we're getting ready to do. Now, we don't want to tell him more information than we have to.
No, that makes sense. I mean, we are getting reports that officers went in that house from video, but we'll keep an eye on it, and I appreciate your insight, because you're right. If he's somewhere watching him, and just the final question I want to ask you: in a house that size, with all the entrance and exits and all that, all of this is going on this day. Shia, being in a helicopter up from above, I assume every entrance and exit in that house has just been eagle eyes on that all day long.
I know that what we had people positioned in certain locations, and I'm sure that with the SWAT team from Michigan State Police, probably the FBI and other volunteer agencies, they have SWAT teams or snipers in certain areas who will do what they have to do also to prevent his escape, because again, we know what he has done. Absolutely.
Right.
This is the worst case scenario.
It really is.
And we look at this and we think about families.
Yes.
My gosh, and you don't want to lose somebody else.
No, you absolutely don't. We appreciate your insight. I know it's hard to talk about it. You've been through it, and we just really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me here. Let's pray for the officer's family and for all the other officers who are there.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. That we have been following all day here on Action News. This is the home of the suspect, Ricky Coley, the man who is believed to have shot the police officer, Patrick O'Rourke, just 39 years old, a father of 4, in this home when they were called to the scene last night at 10 o'clock. Great efforts all day long to try to find that suspect inside the home. No word yet tonight on if he's been apprehended, if he's alive, if he's dead. We are going to bring you the very latest coming up on Action News at 6.